Indiana, USA, to advance and improve the use of groundwater modeling by regulatory and management agencies in developing effective groundwater management practices and procedures. Now, I would like to call our first keynote speaker, Dr. S.N. Rai sir. Dr. S.N. Rai, ex-honorary visiting fellow, IIT Roorkee, and ex-chief scientist, CSIR National Geophysical Research Institute, Hyderabad. He was vice president of the International Association of Hydrogeologists from year 2004 to 12, and president of Indian chapter IAH from 2012 to 13. He was honored with National Geoscience Award in year 2007 and National Hydrology Award in year 1993.
Hello. Yes. ऑन करना होगा. Good morning to all of you. Initial discharge and pumping. You see, whatever the software you are using, it is based on some mathematical equations. And unless until you understand the core of the mathematical equations, it is very difficult to implement the mathematical models effectively. So, the knowing of the mathematical model is very important. And so, what is a mathematical model? It is nothing but it is a simplified form of the complex hydrological system, hydrological systems, in terms of the set of the equations, and those set of equations include the groundwater flow equations and the initial and boundary condition of associated problem here. So that is what is the mathematical model. And then what is the requirement that its a solution must exist. Its solution must be uniquely determined, and its solution should be dependent continuously on the data. Because whenever you are changing the data according to the physical system, your results should be dependent on the data. Now, what is the importance of this groundwater? Actually, groundwater contains the 30% of the total available fresh water. 30%, and remaining is available on the iceberg or in the glacial forms. And compared to, and only 3% is available in the form of other, and out of the 3%, only 0.2 system. So groundwater has the potential to meet the demand of the water demands if it is properly managed. And another important aspect is groundwater is available everywhere on the globe. It is not unlike the surface water. So to start with, I will give you a brief introduction about the hydrological system. You see, this is the impervious boundary, these two. And whatever the aquifer system is in between, it is called the confined aquifer system. And this is the base of the aquifer, and this is called the unconfined aquifer system, which is bounded by impervious boundary, and top is the water table body. And I will discuss the groundwater flow model for the unconfined aquifer system, because this unconfined aquifer system is open to receive recharge from any part of the system. But the confined aquifer can only receive the recharge where it has opening. And wherever you have the semi-impervious boundary, this same unconfined aquifer is known as the leaky unconfined aquifer system. So I am going to present a groundwater flow models which will describe the groundwater flow in unconfined aquifer system. And my research was, you see, another thing is This is the infiltration. After rainfall, whatever the water is entering through the ground surface, it will cause the infiltration, and this infiltrated water passing through this unsaturated zone, when it meets to the water table, that is the boundary between the unsaturated and saturated zone, it is called the discharge, aquifer charge. So you should know the difference between the infiltration and discharge. And rate of recharge is the amount of water which is added in per square area in unit time, and it has dimension of the meter per day. So that is the recharge. You see, in 1959, this Mukel had done a field survey, and he found out that the rate of recharge varied like that. The reason is, in the beginning, when the water enters into the pores, so there the available air in the pores, it reduces, resisted the flow of water, vertical flow of the water, so it decreases the rate of recharge. And when water is released under the pressure of the water, then again rate of recharge will increase. And then after some time it also continuously decreases because of the siltation of the pore spaces. So, but unfortunately, nobody has paid any attention about this time varying rate of recharge. And all the mathematical models, till I know 76, were developed based on the constant rate of recharge because of the simplification of the mathematical treatment. And I have taken up as a research problem for this one. And since 40 years I am working on this issue. So what I did, how you can simulate the approximate this time of recharge? By using the linear elements. So you can see this rate of recharge can be approximated by this way. By introducing the several linear elements of different length and slope. And this form of, and this is the wait period is showing the recharge period. And recharge is not when you are applying artificial recharge, it is applied intermittently when water is available. So this wait period is showing the rate of this recharge period, then the dry period, again the second cycle of recharge is shown. So this complex variation of the rate of recharge can be approximated by this function, where Pt is the rate of recharge at time t, R is the this one slope of this river, and C is the intercept. This is nothing but y is equal to mx plus c. You know the mathematical expression for the linear elements. And this rate of recharge, and then you can J is here. The J is the number of the elements which is used to approximate this time varying recharge. And for that one we got the US patent in 2012. We were working since 1960, but we got in 2012. So that is the kind, and this function can be also used to approximate the this time varying pumping rate, because pumping is also done timely. And this also can be used. So this one function can be used for approximating the time varying recharge, time varying pumping rates, as well as the leakage factor. One in case of the withdrawal or pumping, this should have the minus sign. In case of the recharge, in the equation it will have the positive sign. That is the only difference. So any physical behavior can be, mathematical model can be developed by three laws. It's a conservation of mass, conservation of momentum, and conservation of energy. In case of the groundwater flow, we use the water mass balance equation and conservation of momentum in the form of the Darcy equations, and when you are combining this, then you can get a groundwater flow equation. So this is the Darcy law, where the Q is the total amount of flow and K is the proportionality current, A is the cross-sectional area, and this is the d phi by dl is the gradient from these two levels. And if you are going to divide this Q by A cross-section, then it will give the specific discharge Q. So, but you see, dH by dl according to the Darcy law, but when you are considering the regional flow, then this dl will be, this slope will be very less. So dl can be approximated, dx can be dl can be approximated dx. So you can get this is called the diffuse approximation. So you will get a specific discharge expression in terms of the Cartesian coordinates. And this in place of q is equal to k dh by dl, it will have k dh by dx. And this minus sign is because it is the flow is from higher elevation to low elevation. So is the minus sign represent the negative. And now, and k is the proportionality constant, is hydraulic conductivity. It depends upon the property of the rocks as well as the property of the fluid also. So now to derive the this one, we use the mass balance equation by one representative elementary volume REV. This REV is the smallest part, smallest sample of the geological formation which possesses all the physical property of the formations, and it is bounded by the 4 vertical sides. So this represents the total mass entering into this surface, where the T is the delta time, in delta T time, rho is the density of the fluid, delta Y the width of the this one, and Q dash is the total discharge rate for the entire thickness. The water table was at the height here, and with the after delta T time it raised from HT to HT plus T1. So this is the mass which is entering into the body REB, and this is the mass leaving the body REB in x direction. So it will give the, if entering mass is more than the leaving the mass, then you will have some storage. And the same way you have the, this is the mass of the water entering from the y directions, and this is leaving. So this total net mass will transform in the form of increase in the water table heights. And this is, if you have any recharge function, here I have written n, but it is there. So if it is the rate of recharge, and if you multiply the total area, then you will give the total mass entered into the REB, and it will give. And this is the represented by the total mass, which is reflected in the form of the water table height from this level. So this mass balance equation is the only basic equation, and if we are going to expand these functions in a Taylor series form, so it will give in this way. And since delta x is a small quantity, and if you are going to ignore this value after this second term, you take into second term, and you make use of this q dash x minus delta x by 2 q dash x plus delta x y in the mass balance equations, you will get these equations. And if you are going to use the Darcy law equations, q dash x, which is nothing but kx dh by dx, so you will get the groundwater flow equation for unconfined aquifer in a homogeneous and anisotropic aquifer system. And in homogeneous means this hydraulic conductivity changing with the space and time. So if it is only for the inhomogeneous isotropic aquifer, this kx will be one constant in x direction, ky will be constant. So this will give you the equation to describe the groundwater flow in inhomogeneous isotropic. If your formation is homogeneous and isotropic, then k will be constant, you will have this one. So this is the final equation which is used to describe the groundwater flow in unconfined aquifer system, and that is the equation which is used in the mud flow, pore flow, or this ones, like any groundwater flow equation. This is only for horizontal aquifer system, but Upadhyaya was going to present the same equations for the sloping aquifer system. So that equation also you can derive by using the mass balance equations. And this is for the two-dimensional flow. If you are considering the one-dimensional flow, then y coordinate term will be disappear. So you will have this one. And if so, this is the transient flow. If you have a steady flow, then this term will disappear. So this will give you this deva h and deva t will be not appearing. So then it is for 2D and for 1D. Now this equation is the non-linear. You have to linearize it. there are several methods like Bosmans method and Hantus methods. I am not going to give in the details. And so this equation, by using the Hantus method, this can be written in a dy square capital H by dy x square plus dy square capital H by dy y square plus 2p xyt. This p is representing the total sum of the recharge, pumping and leakage. So now I am going to make use of this equation with the help of examples, numerical examples, how you can be able to predict the groundwater flow fluctuations, groundwater table fluctuations for the given situation of the management like recharge, pumping and all those things. This is the equation for the sloping aquifer system, which Upadhyaya was supposed to give the talk, and this is for the Cartesian coordinate, but when you are doing the modeling for the radial coordinates for pumping well other things, so the same equation in radial coordinate will be given as dy h by dy t is equal to 1 by r dy by r q minus pr. So when you are doing the pumping test analysis. Now any differential equation has infinite number of the solutions. To know the solution for a particular case, you have to have additional information, and those additional information is given by the geometry of the domain, value of all the relevant physical property, initial condition if you are going to solve unsteady problems, and the condition on the boundary of the considered flow table. Then only you will get a mathematical model for a particular system under consideration. And initial condition means you have to define the initial value for the entire flow domain, and this is called the first type of the boundary condition or definite boundary conditions. And second type of boundary condition is if there is any discharge, like aquifer is discharging into the river or any system, so this will be given specific discharge value. This is the boundary condition for this one. And there is another no flow boundary conditions, where there will be water table height will be the same on both sides, so flow will not take place across the boundary, so that is called the no flow boundary conditions. So these are the three type of boundary conditions which is used for the groundwater flow modeling. And this is the boundary conditions which is used for the semi-pervious formations, where K dash is the hydraulic conductivity of the semi-pervious formation and B the thickness of this one. So these three type of boundary condition is used in all type of the groundwater flow equations which are developed. Now I will take an example where this is the whole aquifer system body in its expansion in x direction, y direction. We have considered a recharge site here, and this is the leakage site, and this is the well. So this groundwater flow equation for this one, the mathematical equation is given by dy square h by dy x square plus dy square h by dy y square, where h is nothing but h square is the time where this is the unknown, h square h xyt is the unknown, and this is known value. H0 is the initial water table height value, and then the initial condition is that at the bound in the beginning the water table height is remain the same h0, and this is the boundary condition, that is the no flow boundary condition. And this is the the source sink terms, where pxt is nothing but if you are considering n number of the recharge basins, n number of wells, and so this scheme have advantage that you can consider your model any number of the recharge basins, any number of the wells, any number of the leakage sites of any dimension, and your rate of recharge and pumping rate can be also different for different basins and different. So this is such a versatile model. So this we have defined this one. Now this is the, now we have used the extended finite Fourier cosine transform to solve this differential equations, and after getting this after applying this Fourier cosine transform, you will convert the second order differential equation into the first order differential equation after subjecting the boundary conditions. and then you are going to solve equations, and when it will be in a Fourier domain, and in the Fourier domain solution, if you are going to apply this inverse extended finite Fourier cosine transform, so you can get the your solution in the in your known domain. So this is the, now you have second order differential equation has been converted after applying the Fourier cosine transform with this one, where these parameters are like that. It appears very complicated, but if you go step by step, it is very simple things. Then you get the solution in a Fourier domain. M and N is the integer. You have to give any value where your solution gets the converge. And generally M and N value is less than 10. And if you are going to apply inverse Fourier cosine transform on this value, you will get the desired solution in this form. H square is equal to H0 square minus these functions. So H is the unknown. And other things, K you know from the measured value, specifically you know. So you are going to compute this H value using this expression. And where the Rij and Rj2, it is defined here. Sorry. This value, Rij and Rik, and lambda is this value. Now we have considered a numerical example to demonstrate the field application of this one. So we have considered an aquifer of dimension 4 km by 4 km. Initial water table height is 25 meters and hydraulic content is 6 meters, specifically 0.25 meters. And recharge area is only we have taken only one basin, but you can take any number of the basins. It is a 50 meter by 40 meter with center at this one. And leakage site is 120 meter by 40 meter with a center at 4 meter, this coordinate of the center. And leakage rate is 0.1 meter per day, and pumping well is 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter with a center at this one, and pumping rate is 800 cubic meter per day. And this type of recharge, this is the one cycle of recharge which start from here and it ended at 20 days. Then there is a dry period 20 to 40 days. Again second cycle of recharge is applied. We have taken the same magnitude, but you can take a different magnitude also. And this is the pumping. So pumping start after 10th day. And this is the rate of the pumping around 800 square kilometer. And during 10 to 20, then between 20 to 40 days there is no pumping. Again from between 40 to 50 days there is pumping. So 2 cycle of the pumping. Now this is the water table prediction of the water table variation along a profile which is parallel to x directions, and which is cutting across your recharge basin, passing through the leakage site and well. So you see, below the recharge site you will get the growth of the water table 5 days, 10 days and 15 days, this one. And below the leakage sites the water table is declining. And you see, your pumping is started at 10th day. So before at 5 days there is no depression in the water table height. But for 10 days and 15 days, 10 days is here, and at 15 days near the pumping well your water table has gone down. So like that you can predict the water table variation for known value of the recharge rates, for known value of the pumping rates, for known value of the leakage sites. And you can also present these results in this form. So this is the growth of the groundwater mount, and behind is your leakage, and this is the depression is showing the water table decline in the at the pumping sites. So what is the application? You see, generally analytical mathematical models are used to find out the effect of the various schemes, and without resorting to the expensive field experiment, you can decide what should be your recharge scheme, what should be your pumping scheme before going to the fields. So like that you can predict. And also it is used for the sensitivity analysis. That if you are changing one parameter like hydraulic conductivity, how your water table will fluctuate. By changing the pumping rate, how water table will fluctuate. And another is the most important thing is the numerical model, testing of the numerical model like mod flow. Because the numerical models results are dependent on your dimension of the grids. If you are changing the dimension of the grid from 5 to 10 meter, your result will change. So before making use of the this groundwater flow model in the field, you have to validate it by comparing the results with the analytical solutions. So these are the application of the analytical mathematical models. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone wants to ask any question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Now, you have mentioned that defined and undefined aquifer.
Yeah.
I want to know whether the defined aquifers can be recharged.
Yeah, confined aquifer.
Sorry, confined aquifers we can recharge.
Yeah.
We can, as we say, hard rock aquifer.
Yeah.
Can we identify the volume of injectable, rechargeable volume?
Site.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I have a presentation, but I don't have been allocated time. There is a electrical tomography because in a hard rock aquifer system, you cannot have a recharge site everywhere. So that site should be where this below the aquifer system is exposed on the ground surface, or it is linked with a fracture zone which is exposed on the ground surface. So that fracture zone can be identified by the resistivity survey, which is called electrical resistivity tomography, where you can get the 2D images. So you can identify where is the hard rock and where is the fracture zone. So you can look at, that's why you see in Manrega, Government of India is spending crores of rupees. And the outcome is that water remains suspended on the ground in the pond, and it is only evaporated, and nothing is reaching into the ground surface. So storage is not increased, especially in a hard rock area. So before constructing the recharge site, you should know where you should have the recharge pond. But who cares for the science? You should spend the money, you should show how this much crores of rupees has been spent for the development of the groundwater. Whether groundwater system has been developed or not, that nobody cares for. There is no accountability, there is no responsibility fixed.
Sir, एक query मेरा है
Yes.
that we have been taught that in reality only the leaky aquifer exists.
Yeah, of course.
Fine. So how do we determine the leakage rate of any geological formation?
Sir, the thing is, if you know your rate of recharge and duration of recharge, you know the pumping,
Fine.
and you have the observation value of variation. So if you are in a modeling, if you are computing the water table variation for the known value of the recharge and known value of pumping, even then, if you are not getting a better match with the observed one and computed one, it means something is missing in between,
Okay.
and that something is a leakage.
That may be the leakage.
Leakage.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
That is the generalization. And you say, you might have heard that Indian government was supplying water at Latur by train. I have done work in Latur, and there is plenty of the groundwater, plenty of the groundwater. And this our Deccan Trap geological setup is like that. You have a weathered formation, then basalt, then intertrapean sedimentary formations, then basalt. And that water is within the sedimentary formation, which is called the intertrapean. But how to find out is a question. So in spite of going for the researcher, they find a simple solution, bring the water by train and supply the water. And that work is published. I wrote to the Ministry of Water Resources, I do not get any response. I have done in the Kalmeshwar Taluk, Katol and rural Nagpur and in Latur also.
Yeah. Let us take the question from Dr. Dikshit.
Sir, surface water can be measured. Surface recharge can be measured. But almost 30 to 40% of India is having undulating topography.
Yeah.
How we can measure subsurface movement of water?
Then isotope techniques is that
Is it successful? Sir?
successful. They have measured it is a 425 cubic kilometer per year or something. PRL is doing, NDRI is doing, Central Groundwater Board has done isotopic measurements. So they will inject the radioactive elements before the monsoon, and then with the migration of the water vertical direction, it will go down, and they will take the sample from the top and where it is saturated zone, and then you will.
Sir, it is too difficult to calculate this.
It is
Because
very
in-
simple.
Sir, it is too difficult because in under undulating topography situation, somewhere is 0.5% slope and somewhere 9% slope is also there.
But sir,
And,
you have to
and
take
after a movement of 1 kilometer, again you will find the same situation.
but
Then, sir,
groundwater study is done in basin wise. We do not go by 1 kilometer or half a kilometer. We do in a basin wide, which is a thousands of square kilometer area. Because if you are recharging at one point, the water does not remain at that point only. It will migrate horizontally. So any water management accounting is done for the basin wide. And India is divided into 28 basins, and there are sub basins also. So one should take basin as a unit of the water management, not a location or a compound of this university or any institute. It is totally wrong.
Can you give us the address where the data can be made available?
It is published in Journal of Hydrology, the paper by Thawle and Rangarajan.
Sir, if I will go to Calcutta, they will say go to there, go to there, go to there.
If
But
I
ultimately the
want
result will
to get out of my responsibility, I will do the same. But it is published.
be- Thank you, sir.
And I have results to show you how much water is available in the different prep area where the thousands of farmers are committing suicide. And I moved from one place to another place. Out of the 10 borewells, they have only 2 or 1 borewell successful. So 10 borewells, the money has been spent. Yes. Through the fracture zones. Fracture zones. Or some lakes are there.
If you go to Khandala or Lonavala, all this Deccan trap is visible is very horizontal.
Yeah, of course.
So-
But it will have a fracture zones.
It will have a-
It will have a fracture, and that is the only research you have to find out where is that fracture zone. And there, if you are making any recharge pond, you will
The recharge rate will be very slow. If you start pumping out of that area, what will be,
Then you
have
can
any
have it.
study been done?
there are
What are the
way of
recharges?
recharge. You can do injection well also through injection well.
Pardon, sir, I have to intervene.
Sir.
Because we have the schedule for the time limit is very short, so
Thank you very much.
if you have any question, we will